Disclaimer: if you have yet to see Clannad or Clannad Afterstory, you may wish to wait on this video until you do, as you'll find spoilers within. You have been warned. In many romance anime, the story ends with a confession. It's implied that, once the main couple confesses their feelings for each other, that's all we need to see. This is the case in series like Toradora, where the plot focuses on the incidents leading up to Taiga and Ryuji confessing to each other, and subsequently ends without giving us much in terms of their future. So when a series makes a concentrated effort to show us what happens after the confession, it's something to cherish. In the case of Clannad, it's a double-edged sword because while the first season is carefree and comedic with subtly heartbreaking undertones, it ends with a confession and paves the way for the second season, subtitled Afterstory, which is filled with pain and suffering. Clannad follows, first and foremost, Tomoya Okazaki and Nagisa Furukawa, two high school students who are, in their own way, outcasted from their peers. Due to some troubles at home with his father, Tomoya's been labeled a delinquent and is always late to class. On the other hand, Nagisa is a bashful and frail girl who is having to repeat her senior year due to her sickness preventing her attendance at school. In the chance encounter, Tomoya and Nagisa become friends as they band together to bring back the school's drama club from hiatus and discover a colorful group of friends along the way. It's a hilarious and heartfelt romp through adolescence that had me laughing, wiping my eyes, and having an overall good time with these characters who may be drawn like the traditional anime stereotype, but have heart and depth beyond anything you'd expect. Then, Clannad does something interesting. When the series ends after 22 episodes and Tomoya confesses his love for Nagisa, the series continues with another 22 episodes roped together as Clannad Afterstory. Clannad Afterstory continues the journey of Tomoya and Nagisa as they discover how deep their love for each other runs, and they begin the uphill climb of creating a family of their own. A decision that, by the end of the season, will tear your heart into pieces, then run those pieces through a wood chipper, then stomp on them for the fun of it! I'm not here to review Clannad. No, to be honest, I don't really know if I'm capable of reviewing this series in a way that I'd be happy with. Sure, I will offer my opinions on certain items contained in the plot of the series, but first and foremost, I'd like to discuss how a series can, in under 50 episodes, tell a story of the power of life, family, and sacrifice. In telling Tomoya and Nagisa's story, several key themes are explored, such as the bitterness and resentment that can be held towards family, the bitterness and resentment that can be held towards yourself, forgiveness, and the idea that in some cases, friends can be more like family than your actual family. Tomoya in the series holds an intense grudge towards his father, who is still mourning the loss of his wife and Tomoya's mother in an accident years earlier, for ruining his chances at playing basketball, and throughout the first season he's portrayed as a hollow shell of a man only because we're seeing things from Tomoya's perspective. In the second season, once we see how he becomes the spitting image of his father after he loses Nagisa in childbirth, we're able to see that he may have been a little more than unfair in resenting his old man. It's through this that Tomoya is able to come to terms with his situation, accepting his role as Ushio's father, and forgiving his own for past crimes. He's also able to forgive himself for what role he played in Nagisa's inevitable demise, something that he blames himself for in the 5 years after the fact. Note I said the word inevitable in regard to Nagisa's death, which is a great segue into the themes surrounding her character. It's revealed in the series that, when Nagisa was a child, she grew deathly ill and wasn't long for this world. It's then that her father, in a last-ditch effort to save his little girl, takes her to a construction site in their town where she's miraculously cured. However, what happened here didn't take her sickness away for good. In fact, for the rest of her life, she's bedridden each and every winter, much like the environment surrounding the city and planet on which she lives. Like the greenery that dies each winter to make way for the new, so does Nagisa to make way for her daughter Ushio. I've heard the idea that her death could have been prevented if they'd chosen to give birth via surrogate, and while I want to believe that could be true, it wouldn't have mattered. Nagisa would have died one way or another. Her fate was tied with the town in which she lived, the town that was suffering at the hands of man. In the first season, Nagisa is forced to come to terms with her sickness once she realizes her parents had to give up on their dreams to take care of her, which she hates herself for and practically shuts down as a result of. In the final episodes of Season 1, she's forced to forgive herself for that which was out of her control, which mirrors Tomoya's internal forgiveness that he'll come to experience later in Season 2. In hating herself for taking the lives of her parents, her conflict foreshadows Tomoya's hating himself for meeting Nagisa, marrying her, and seemingly causing her death. In their town, there's a legend that states that when people achieve true happiness, they emit an orb of light that can grant any wish if caught. As Tomoya and Nagisa go on a tour through their school and town, helping people out of the goodness of their hearts and granting them true happiness, it's implied these light orbs are being saved up for something big. In After Story, it's revealed what they're for: the reversal of fate and the breaking of chains. Tomoya and Nagisa meet, as I said earlier, a wide cast of fantastic and memorable characters who, in a way, become their extended family. This is especially true when you take a look at the song Nagisa often sings throughout the series and which serves as the first season's ED, Dango Daikazoku. Translated as Big Dango Family, it's exactly what you imagine, but it strongly parallels how the town is like a big family despite their lack of blood relation. It's through their interactions with these seemingly disconnected people that Tomoya is able to call upon the various light orbs he's unconsciously gathered to turn back time, giving Nagisa one more chance at life with her ties to the town broken. Nagisa and the town were tied. She was always meant to die as the town was dying, and this fate was passed to her daughter, which explains why she had to die as well. In order for the orbs to be used, Ushio had to die in order to be reborn. Literally. In looking at this series collectively, I believe it emphasizes the sheer importance of family, whether they're related to you by blood or not. Tomoya could have ignored Nagisa on the hill that day and kept on walking. He could have ignored everyone around him and continued on his path as a delinquent, giving up on the potential of love or friends or family. He could have bypassed all the heartbreak and misery he experienced in the 5 years following his wife's death, but in the end he didn't. He couldn't have. In choosing to love someone, you're understanding that you will someday lose them. You're choosing to acknowledge the pain, suffering, and heartbreak that comes along with that. You're choosing to focus instead on the good times you'll have with them rather than dwelling on the bad. It's easier to drift through life without attachments. It's easier to close yourself up and avoid disappointment, but in that situation, you're not truly living. And speaking of the extended cast of characters, I feel a few of them really deserve honors, such as Nagisa's father Akiya, whose antics with her mother Sanai got me to laugh pretty much every time they were on screen. I'd also like to point out that this is one of the only anime where I would have been fine with really anyone being paired with Tomoya at the end. All of the girls are extremely well-written, sympathetic characters. It also helps that some of the bonus episodes follow alternate timelines where he does end up with some of these girls, which help put it all in perspective for me. I'm still a hardcore shipper of Tomoya and Nagisa, however. While I truly believe Clannad excels at nearly everything it tries to do, something I really enjoyed was its soundtrack. In the time since I finished my first viewing of the series, I've listened to the music a lot, and each time I do, I'm taken back to very specific scenes. For example, I really like the track called Snowfield because it reminds me of the futility that can be felt in Tomoya as he holds his only daughter in his arms as she fades away. It's not a happy feeling, but rather it's a memorable one. In direct contrast, the palm of a tiny hand evokes this feeling of warm triumph, of bittersweet happiness, the likes of which can only be felt when this track plays in the finale. I am firm in my belief that this track is the most memorable song outside of the OPs and EDs of this series, and despite the difference in tones, I compare it to Angel Beats Ichiban no Taka Ramono in terms of memorability and its ability to evoke raw, unfiltered feels. Speaking of the OPs and EDs, they're tracks that stay with you long after you've finished the series and, like with the regular OST tracks, perfectly encapsulate what this series is about. In Season 1, a remix of the visual novel's opening, Mag Mel, serves as the OP, while the ED is, as I said earlier in this video, Dango Daikazoku, or the Big Dango Family. In Season 2, A Song to Pass the Time is the OP, while the ED is Torch. Having completed the series, I've noticed that the second OP dared to spoil Nagisa's demise in the lyrics, "I'm only looking at the spilling hourglass. When I turn it upside down, look, it starts up again. I wonder if I'll be able to someday enter the advancing time that only ticked away. Midway on the slope that only you passed through, many warm spots of sunshine appeared. Here by myself, I'm reminiscing about the tender warmth. It's only you, who I loved. My eyes tear up in the wind, and you become distant." Then, later in the song, we hear the lyrics, it's only you, who isn't by my side. Up until yesterday, you were right by my side, looking at me." I noticed this as I progressed through After Story, and immediately my heart sank. I still have trouble listening to this OP without having chills run all throughout my body. It's from Tomoya's perspective, and we're able to hear just what is going through his mind as he adjusts to life without Nagisa in it. I could probably do another video picking apart both OPs, analyzing their spoiler content, and I might just do that, but I'll leave it there for now. Let me know if this is something you'd want to see in the comments. I never thought it would happen, but there is a series that has dethroned Toradora as my favorite anime of all time. Clannad is simply perfection in my opinion, and aside from a few issues I had with some of the minor characters' voices in the dub, the Sentai Filmworks cast is easily one of my favorites. I'm on a desperate quest to get my hands on the visual novel so I can experience the heartbreak all over again, but until then, all I can say is this series has taken me on an emotional roller coaster. I laughed, I teared up, I got visibly angry, but in the end, Clannad has become my favorite series of all time, and I don't regret it. I couldn't recommend it more than I do, especially to anyone looking for more than just another anime. Clannad is an experience. Thanks for watching Anime Ambush! If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more like it, feel free to subscribe to this channel. If you really love me, you can become my patron and help financially support my content, or you can share this video with your friends. If you've made it this far, I want you to take to the comments below and tell me who your favorite girl was in Clannad and why it was Nagisa, Kyo, or Tomoyo. Until next time, this has been Pixelation, reminding you to stay pixelated.